Good morning, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again for your morning blog for Monday, July 7th, 2014. Going to be a hot and humid day in Billerica, Massachusetts. Going to be around 88 degrees or so. It's cloudy right now. Hopefully the sun breaks out and has a nice day, but once it breaks out, the humidity goes up and we'll be in the zone for severe thunder showers, which isn't good. Some little tidbits to report that LeBron James is going to meet with Pat Riley to discuss about a new contract with the Heat, and there's rumblings that LeBron James is actually talking with the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I don't see him ever going back to Cleveland. In my opinion, he's going to stay with Miami. That's where he belongs, and they have the best shot to win a championship in Miami. And I think he's going to sign with Miami, just like Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade will. But Wade and Bosh will sign for reduced rates. They won't get max contracts, but they'll take a pay cut. But they have all the money in the world anyway, so what's a pay cut to them anyway? And now, my subject of this first block of the day is something that happened in pro wrestling history 18 years ago today. It's when that Hulk Hogan, one of the most popular wrestlers in the 80s and early 90s, turned heel and joined the NWO with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall at WCW's pay-per-view Bash at the Beach. The NWO started on Monday Nitro on May 27, 1996, when Scott Hall, who used to be Razor Ramon in WWE, came down the arena steps and goes into the ring and like stops a match, and he says to the mic, I'm here for one thing. I'm here to take over, and I'm here to take over WCW. And then a couple of weeks later, Kevin Nash, who used to be Diesel in the WWE, shows up and says, this is where the big boys play. We ain't here to play. And then a week later at the Great American Bash, Eric Bischoff, who was an announcer back then, said that Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were going to face off against 3 WCW wrestlers. But then Kevin Nash powerbombs Eric Bischoff, which off the interview stage, and was an awesome bump. And there was all these things with like rumors who was going to be the third man for the NWO. The match was between Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and a mystery partner against Randy Savage, Sting, and Lex Luger. And there was rumors galore who was going to be the third man of the NWO. There was rumors Bret Hart, King Mabel. I heard rumors Sting and Luger, which I don't think either Sting and Luger would have been a good third man, because I think it would have flopped because they were like fan favorites and I couldn't see them go heel at that point. And then when they had the match start, Luger was the first one out. He was stretched off, and then the match continued for about 15-20 minutes until like Sting gets hurt. And then it's down to Savage, and then Hulk Hogan comes in, and he says, like, he clears the ring of Hall and Nash. Bobby the Brain Heenan, who was the color man on that podcast, says, whose side is he on? He kind of almost spoiled it, and then a minute later, Hogan gives a leg drop to Savage, who was out cold, and then he does a couple of leg drops, and then the fans go booing like crazy. That like they throw a lot of litter in the ring, everything, and it was one of the biggest heel promos cut at the time. Hogan turning heel was amazing. I never thought he would be a heel again. He was a heel back in the early 80s in the WWE, but him, Hall, and Nash decided that it would be called the New World Order of Wrestling, the NWO. And the NWO, after that, the ratings really took off for WCW Nitro after Hogan turned heel, and Hall and Nash, the ratings went through the roof. Pay-per-view buy rates went amazing, and also WCW was making more and more money than ever before, and even overtook WWE as the #1 wrestling company in the world. The NWO was good to start off with. After they had Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Hulk Hogan, they added Ted DiBiase and the Giant, X6, who was known as the 1-2 Kid in the WWE, and Vincent, who was the bodyguard Virgil in the WWF, and then they had Miss Elizabeth as well. And also they added their own fake Sting, and also the Giant was in the NWO. And then in November of 1996 they added Eric Bischoff to be part of that spokesman for the NWO. He was announcer for WCW, and he also was the executive producer of WCW. He turns heel and joins the NWO. And then they continued to add more, which I really didn't like. Marcus Bagwell, he turned heel and became Buff Bagwell, and then they added a lot of more junk to the fray, like Michael Wall Street, Big Bubba, Scott Norton. Then in 1997 they added Randy Macho Man Savage, Kurt Hennig. Later it just got to be ridiculous who they were adding. They were adding more people every week. It seemed like half of WCW wrestlers were NWO. They were pretty cool to start off with, but when they started to add everybody, it just got tired and not good. And also, like, by 1998, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall broke away from Hogan's NWO and formed NWO Wolfpack, and NWO Wolfpack consisted of Sting and Luger joined them. So now there was NWO Wolfpack, NWO Hollywood, which was Hogan's, and also WCW, and they also had a faction called the LWO, where all the Mexican and Hispanic wrestlers were joined up together. They were called the Latino Order, but that was kind of a flop as well. And the NWO just, it was good, but eventually, it was good to start off with, but eventually it just got to a point where everybody in WCW wanted to be part of the NWO, and you couldn't have everybody in WCW in the NWO. It was probably that was the biggest angle that WCW ever did. It made them millions of dollars for a short period of time, and also got the fans to like the heels, especially Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. Then, like, the NWO went away towards 1999. I think by the springtime it was basically gone. And then they tried to bring back the NWO in late 1999 with Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Bret the Hitman Hart, and Jeff Jarrett. But that didn't go too far, and the NWO disappeared. Like 2002, the WWE brought back the NWO with Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan, but Hogan was cheered by the WWE fans, and that put the end to that. And I think you'll never see an NWO like that again. The fans don't want something that's watered down all the time and recycled. But I like that thing with the NWO. When you're NWO for life. And that probably revived Hogan's career for the NWO. It probably added a few more years to his wrestling career as a major moneymaker, because the red and the yellow, when it went to WCW, it was okay. The fans cheered at first, but it just got tired because the fans were tired of Hogan as the ultimate good guy, the red and the yellow, and he was getting booed. And he had like second thoughts of doing this, but at the end it was just because of the money. It's all because of the money. Well, we'll be back later on in the day with another one of these video blogs. I'm not going to mention the subject. You'll be surprised about that. And don't forget, if you want anything shout out on any of these blogs, just private message me and I will do that for you, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. Have a good day.